To begin the list, we have Civilization 3. It's a game that's ported from PC to Android. It's most like Civ 1 and 2, you could suggest, I suppose, and you have an option of choosing rules for Civ 1 or Civ 2. You have pretty much every nation you can think of to choose from, but obviously they aren't much different from each other, apart from color and city names. You can choose the amount of computer enemies, their difficulty, and the size of your map, for example, to customize your world. So I wouldn't say it's a bad port at all. It's completely free, no hidden costs, I don't think. You start off with a fair few units, which is a bit unusual for any civilization, essentially. You start off a couple of settlers, a couple of scouts, a couple of workers. It's pretty basic stuff. You build up an army, you explore, you make your civilization bigger. However, diplomacy is, in my opinion, very flawed, and it's very difficult to sustain any sort of diplomatic relations with other countries. You continue on, and obviously you get the option of building militia at the start. Militia, however it's pronounced, not too relevant. You continue exploring, you get goodie huts, you get barbarians, you meet other civilizations, obviously. So it's a very, very interesting game to play. As you can see here, obviously you can pick up legions early on from goodie huts, which is a bit different. I've started actually I picked barbarians. I didn't know that's something you can do, but apparently you can do it on this game. And as you can see, you just explore making lands. It's a pretty classical civilization game, really quite decent and a bit of fun, but it's very flawed, I would suggest. I mean, everything from diplomacy, technology, and so on is slightly flawed, in my opinion. Right, different civilizations, obviously. Like I said, pretty classic Civ game that I do somewhat enjoy playing on this. And number 3 is Demise of Nations. In Demise of Nations, you have single player and multiplayer that you do have to log in for. A number of pretty basic settings. And obviously, it's the least like Civ out of all of the games on this list. So that's the interesting part. I'd suggest it's more war-based than Civ games are. You don't really have any other way to win. You only start off with one map, but you can either pay for others or you can get them for free, I'm pretty sure. You have a number of nations to choose from, and difficulty. Like I said, the game is centered around war, so don't expect too many different elements. You do, however, choose we're gonna declare war on. Diplomacy is pretty developed. You can trade with other civs, you can make alliances with other civs, you can obviously kind of get the most out of the lands around you with making certain objects that help you get more resources. So you can buy resources as well, declare wars. Essentially, diplomacy is quite decent on this game. There's also a pretty in-detail tutorial that you can use in-game if you are unclear about certain things about this game. As you can see, I start off as the Berbers, pretty much right next to Carthage, and I declare war on them pretty early on to show you how the game really works. You choose your cities, essentially your villages, or however they're called in this game, and you make units with them, and also develop them by making things inside of them. The AI is not going to be a pushover. They're going to fight you really hard, so the game is not easy either. As you can see here, you can build a number of units. That obviously the variety of the units they can build depends on what objects you have built in the city you're building the units in. So that's another interesting part of the game that you have to kind of do yourself. Obviously here you can only build a peasant because you don't I haven't built any objects like the barracks and such, which I am now building, that also cost valuable resources. So the game is pretty much centered about trading, being very smart diplomatically declaring wars and defending yourself, because the AI will also declare wars on you, especially if they're stronger. The amount of wood and other resources you can buy, I think, is quite high, but it also depends on what you're trading it for. There's also only a certain amount you can buy that depends on your gold. Obviously, here you have a number of menus that help you overview your empire that also has a certain amount of population that you can make bigger, like for example fertility growth. That is an element in this game that you pay for essentially, not your money obviously, in-game money. So there isn't much you buy except for maps in this game. Now I'm gonna stop rambling on with this and let you view the rest of the gameplay. So now we're over to number 2, and that is Civilization Revolution 2. Obviously you have a number of options to play with. You can play a scenario, one of many scenarios that are inside the game that you don't have to mod yourself. Or you can customize your own game, but you can also play a completely random map. There are 5 difficulties. I'd say the first 3 are quite easy. I mean, King isn't too easy, but still relatively easy. Then you have Emperor, it's a bit more difficult, and then you have Deity, sorry, which is really difficult. You have a really big number of civilizations to play with that all very customized. For example, the Egyptians became the game an ancient wonder, and I'm choosing them for this, well, sort of showcase of the game. The game will not maybe work the best with low-end devices. It's still pretty friendly to even weaker devices, although it might lag. Obviously, you start the game with a settler. The game is, if I haven't already mentioned, made kind of by the official makers of desktop civilization, so it might be the closest that you come. But it is also the only game that is not free on this list. It's actually rather expensive for an Android game. But that's what you get for these kind of premium graphics and gameplay. Obviously you have loads of barbarians that you attack early on, and taking their villages will give you a variety of helpful things, I suppose. I here beat the first barbarian, and then soon after attack again and lose, just to kind of showcase they're not pushovers either. At the corner of your warrior and the opponent's warrior, no matter who you're battling against, they show how strong your warrior are and how strong the opponent's warrior is. Obviously, there's a number of units that go through early ages onto modern tanks and airplanes. You do also build armies, which is very interesting. You kind of unite 3 units at one place, and you can create an army, just like that. Here we find another barbarian encampment, and they are very often in the game. There's also loads of civs you play against. I think there's 3 opponents in each and every game. Each civ you're playing against kind of has its own it has its own way of playing. So, for example, if you're playing against the Germans, they're more aggressive than, for say, the Americans or the Egyptians, for example. The Egyptians, more often than not, go for more of a cultural victory. The Koreans will try and achieve a scientific victory. So it's a very in-depth game. It has so many features, all these wonders, all these buildings, all these units. So it's very close. I mean, there's a really big gap, I think, between what we had before, third and fourth place, and what we have now at second. So you have to be kind of happy with this game, really. It's a very good game that you should appreciate, I think. So I'll let you enjoy what's little left of this gameplay and go on to number one. And at number one we have World of Empires. You might ask why I have put this at number one ahead of Civilization Revolution 2. Well, there's a number of reasons. First of all, Civilization Revolution is really expensive. Second of all, I feel like it has a little bit more to it, just more options, more things to tweak, as I'm showing here the screen, more customization, more things to do, more things to build. Like, I've worked really hard to make this. I'm pretty sure this is essentially made by one guy, and you can support him on a number of sites, and you can watch ads inside of this, but it's only optional to watch ads as well. You have a number of civilizations, each with their own unique tweaks and turns. So that's another interesting part. Every civilization is different, which is really good. Makes it a lot more unique, a lot closer to the real Civilization PC experience. Obviously, it won't work with the kind of really low-end devices. Might not work great, but it takes a while to load the world anyway. May it be a big world, may it be a small world. You can name your guy whatever you want. I've taken the liberty of just naming my guy Wank here for no specific reason. You start off with one city. I chose the color pink, also for no specific reason. You can declare wars, but the diplomacy is quite decent on this game, I would say, and it's getting updated all the time, so it will only get better. And I really hope that you do go over to Google Play, download this game, support the developer because of this video, or hopefully not in spite of this video. Hope I'm making this game look good. I'm saying it's better than Civilization Revolution. You know what I mean? It's a really good game. I'm just going to show you a bit about, the science is really good. There's a number of ways to win this game. They are all very unique and very nice and not hard, not easy to accomplish, sorry. And I will declare war just to show you how it kind of works. Obviously you have to kind of ruin the walls of the city or whatever. So that's what you have to do. Obviously you can't do it with one warrior. Or maybe you can do by the time you do it, By the time you were supposed to do it, the warrior would have been killed 20 times, so that's not gonna work. I want to show you how it works, and later you will see that a warrior against a warrior also, I think the combat looks good, works really well. So the game is really good, and I'm just gonna leave you with the rest of this gameplay without bothering you anymore with my annoying voice. So I do hope you like and subscribe.